back.
And we're back. Hello, this is Ask Alan and Brian, and I'm Alan. I'm Alan Thompson.
I'm Brian Stevens, and we're delighted to hear and see that you're actually looking at our videos. So let's see what we're going to talk about today. Maybe you caught our earlier video. We talked about valuing an existing ongoing business, and that tends to be very similar in some ways, which you'll explain, I'm sure, Alan, but also very unique in different ways when you're looking at commercial or when you're looking at a residential. So why don't you start off talking about some of the nuances about managing and valuation for a commercial piece of property. Could you do that for us?
Okay, yes, I can. But Brian, I would love to start out with the residential and flow into the commercial, because most of individuals that we see today, over 90% of the industry are residential agents. They're working in residential. As you know yourself, and you mentioned, there's and we're talking about the state of Florida. Now, all over the world, it's still the same. However, in the state of Florida, we got over 200,000 agents that are active now.
Amazing.
And most of them are focusing in on residential. How many own business brokerage there, right?
Well, the Business Brokers of Florida has 988. We're the only statewide multiple listing, and there's a few others, but probably not more than another 1,000. So maybe 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 in this state that had how many real estate agents, residential?
Over 200,000. I mean, the count has been fluctuating because people have been leaving the industry, and a large part of it has been they're talking about the market is terrible and things of that nature. So yeah, of that 200 and some odd thousand, what do you think?
Right, so it's like 1% of the marketplace is represented by people selling houses or selling businesses compared to those selling houses. It's totally amazing.
So it gives you a competitive edge if you learn how to sell and get some sort of at least the knowledge of both the residential, the commercial, and the business brokerage, and we can show you how to do that. And the courses that you have seen or you may see by going to AskAlanAndBrian.ai, you'll find a course that's called a Competitive Edge Kit. Now, in that kit, you're going to basically learn residential. You'll learn also commercial, the fundamentals of that, business brokerage. You'll also learn some fundamentals of neuro-linguistic programming. Brian, what do you know about neuro-linguistic programming?
NLP. Wow. I mean, that's sort of the way you talk and use words in the right way that get the magic result that you're hoping for. You are a supervisor. You've gotten a certification in that?
Yeah, trainer, master trainer, and that, and so forth. So, but we'll go to that a little bit later in another video. We're going to talk about valuation on residential. Now, most of you all know, because you call this a CMA. Most refer to that as a CMA, which means stands for comparative market analysis. Comparative market analysis is basically the way it sounds. You're using the market to compare similar homes because basically, let's say, for instance, someone calls you out, Brian, they say, hey, I want you to list my home. When they call you out to list a home, they don't know what that home is worth. They basically say, that's why I called you here, is to tell me what it's worth. So you're going to need to go into the marketplace, your MLS, if you use a multiple listing service or whatever you're using, in order to determine what similar homes that are compared with that one would sell for. Very similar to what you talked about in the earlier video dealing with business valuations. So the valuation portion is somewhat the same. Process is a little bit different, but the end result is you're placing a value on that property based on, really, it's an opinion. I mean, everybody has different opinions, because in the event that you send 3 different appraisers out, they'll probably come out with 3 different evaluations. What do you think?
Oh, yeah, because there's a science to it, but it's also a flair of a little bit of art. How do you put all that together? It takes a lot of knowledge to do a great job, and our classes will help improve that considerably for you.
And the real short end of how you do this, you take that, you compare those homes, and some will say, well, you do 3-bedroom, 2-bath, don't get a 4-bedroom, don't get this. You usually try to make apples and apples. You want to make them pretty much as similar as possible. If Brian has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with a fireplace and a pool, I'm going to try to find something very similar within a 1-mile radius, a 5-mile radius, or close enough so I can say, wait a minute, Brian, your property is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It has a pool and a fireplace, and there's one over here that's around the corner from yours that's identical, because the builder built 4 models. Same thing, the garage is just on the other side, the same square footage, same everything. That one sold for 1.2 million. Yours should probably be in that range because it recently sold. So you want recent activities. Now we go more in depth into that to basically kind of show you, but that's a high level. Get the course so that you know strategically how to actually do this. Now don't get lost into the sauce where you're sitting there saying, well, my broker told me I need to do it this way and that way and this way and whatever. Understand that you can place an asking price on it, but the person that really places the value on it is the buyer. It's only worth what a buyer is willing to pay for it.
That's exactly
so you
right.
can pretty much, Brian, say, I want 1.8. If you want 1.8, but it's worth 1.5, what do you think the possibility of that?
Why would anybody do that? Because they have the law of substitution, a law of all the different things. They can find another one eventually for that price that's in tune with the market.
That's right. So based on that principle of substitution, it says that no prudent, well-informed buyer will pay anything more for this property if they can go around the corner and get one identical to it. I don't care if that one's green and this one is brown, and you really like the color brown, you'll buy that one and paint it. Right. Versus spend extra money. So that's the principle of substitution. Now, when it comes to commercial properties, I'm just going to, because you kind of now understand how you will value one property, one home. Now, we're not looking at there's income in there. We're just saying that you're living there, so you're really using a comparative market approach. There's 3 approaches to value. One is the comparative market approach. The other is the cost appreciation approach or replacement cost approach. And usually you don't use that one unless you're doing special purpose properties. Right. Special purpose properties are, well, what are special purpose properties there, Brian?
Well, it just has a unique purpose, so you can't really find other comparables like it. It's just so totally unique that there's nothing. You got a good example of one of those that you've done recently?
A church, a warehouse, a schoolhouse, a courthouse, things that you're not going to find a lot of those. If you go in MLS right now and you look for a lot of churches or schoolhouses or what have you, you're probably not going to find them. So you would have to attempt to value them. Chances are your broker would say, hey, call Alan or call Brian because you don't have a clue what you're doing, and I don't want to be liable for you guessing and guesswork. So this is the reason why you're here, is to learn those kind of things that at least it gives you a working knowledge. How does that give them any kind of competitive edge there, Brian?
Well, I mean, if you know what you're doing, you're comfortable, people are going to not only do a great job then and there, you're going to get more referrals later on too. And if you're wasting your time, if you do things inappropriately, you're out of line with the market, 2 things can happen. If you price it too high, you're never going to get any leads for your client. You've done your job by justice. And if you waste a lot of your time too, you price it too low and they sell and the seller finds out that you didn't do a good job doing that, they might be calling you up later on, having a conversation about that, and it might be one you want. You need to be accurate, informed, and detailed, and getting the organization so you can knock it out of the park time after time after time. Knowledge is power if you put it to use.
That's great. Excellent. Now we're going to look at that home, and we're going to turn that home into, let's say, it's 5 units, because 4, from a single family to up to 4 units, or a 4-plex, or a quad, or a quadruplex, 4 units is still considered residential. When you get to that 5th one, now you're into the commercial. Oh, yeah. That's where now income is more important than just the comparable sales approach. Now, you probably heard of GRM, gross rent multiplier, and GIM, gross income multiplier. But now we're going to go and shift into the income capitalization approach. Income capitalization approach is basically, we're going to look at those 5 units, and we're going to say that you own that property. It's 5 units that you own. Now, each one of those tenants that are in each one of those units there are paying $1,000 a month. What do you get there, Brian? $1,000 a month?
Times 5?
Yeah.
Per year or per month? 5,000
per year. How many?
Or 60,000 for the year.
Okay, so there you have it.
Or 180,000 for 3. Okay.
Oh, wow, that was really deep there. This is a mathematician. We'll just go ahead and just take this on. How about a century? Oh, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Hey, so here's where we go.
We're messing now, but we're having fun. We're having fun on these.
And here's the thing. You take that 5 times your $5,000 a month. Now you multiply that times 12, as Brian did in his head there, is 60,000. So the income is figured annually. So you have 60,000 that you can potentially get if every one of those tenants pay you on average $1,000 every month when it's due. They pay you that times that 12 months. So now when you have that, you have what is called a PGI, which is your potential gross income. That formula, we talk about it in the course. It is your PGI, your potential gross income, minus your vacancy and collection losses, because there is a good chance someone's not going to pay. They skip in the middle of the night, or one of those units are vacant and things of that nature. So you got to factor it in. There are rules of thumb that we'll tell you about when you get inside the course. Also, so you take your PGI, what you can potentially get, minus your vacancy and collection loss. Then you add any other income. What is other income there, Brian? Other income.
Boy, other income is stuff other than the rent, but I'm drawing a blank on it, right? What examples?
Well, you have vending machines, you have laundry facilities, you got parking, you may have pet deposits, you got anything, as Brian mentioned, other than rent that you're going to factor in so that you can look at all of the numbers. Take your potential gross income minus your vacancy and collection losses plus your other income to get an EGI. You get an effective gross income, and then you subtract your operating expenses. There's three types of operating expenses. They are fixed expenses. Those are the ones that are fixed and they don't change based on the occupancy level of the building, such as taxes and insurance. Like it or not, whether the building is full or vacant, you're going to probably need to pay, well, you're going to need to pay taxes and you need to be insured. So with those are fixed. Doesn't depend upon how many people are in your building. Now, the second type is your variable expenses. So when they look at these, they call these operating expenses FEVER. FE for fixed expense, VE for variable expense, and R for reserves for replacement of short-lived items that wear out from time to time. When you subtract out those, you get a NOI, which stands for your net operating income. Once you get the net operating income, that net operating income becomes the I of IRV. When we're teaching it in the course, we teach it to just do a triangle. And on the top of the triangle is income. On the bottom left is rate, and on the bottom right is value. In between the income, you have a division sign here. In between the income and the rate, you have a division sign. And in between the income and the value, you have a division sign. And down at the bottom of the triangle, the base of the triangle, you have rate times value. So here's what happens. Rate times value equals income. Income divided by rate equals value. And income divided by value equals rate. The way this works is kind of magical, that if you want to find out anything, you just cover the one you're looking for. If the investor said, I want a 10 cap. I don't care what it does. I don't care what type of property is there, Brian. I just want you to give me a 10 cap. Well, a 10 cap, they're talking about, in most cases, a 10 capitalization rate, that rate that's over there at the bottom left. So what you do is basically know how to figure it out. You cover rate, and what you have on the screen left is income divided by value. That gives you your rate. So you figure out your PGI minus your VCL plus your OI equals your EGI minus the fixed variable and reserves for replacement to get your NOI, which is your net operating income, and divide that by the value and say this gets you a 9 cap. And then you should decide at that point whether or not that person wants to buy it.
That's a lot of initials.
Now think about this, Brian. Would you sell that person that if they said, okay, I want a 10 cap and it's coming up as a 9?
Will they buy it?
I don't know.
So you're asking? I don't think so. They need 10. They need 10. So.
Do you talk to them about how it could maybe become 10?
Yeah, for sure. You can always talk about potential.
Yeah, and one of the things you want to look at it, if you've done your research, and we talk about this in the course as well, if you've done your research, you may be able to find out that right now they have a loss to lease. A loss to lease means they've got below market rents. They could just adjust the rents if they're on month to month. And a lot of this, you need to go to the course to learn this and lots more in AskAlanAndBrian.ai. So we're going to end with this one at this time, but go to the course. Go to AskAlanAndBrian.ai, and the one that you really need to learn all of this is the Competitive Edge Kit.
Ooh,
It's going to give you a blue ocean strategy. What is blue ocean? Brian will tell you, and we'll end this thing.
all right. Well, first I'm going to explain what a red ocean is. So imagine going to your favorite fishing hole where everybody's fishing and they're catching the fish, throwing the heads back and skinning the stuff. Everybody's got sinkers and hooks and all that stuff in the ground. It's just a total mess. It's a bloody mess. The fish are scared to death. It's all chaos, and there's so many people fishing it. Then imagine you say, this is silly. You take your boat, you go further down around the border, and all of a sudden you have this place where there's nobody, and the fish are feeding and happy. You got it all to yourself, or maybe one of the smart person that took our course is also in the other boat out there, and it's that blue ocean. We throw it in, you relax, you catch lots of fish because nobody's after the same fish. Changes the whole methodology, and it makes it a beautiful experience.
Sounds like business brokerage and commercial real estate, because there's not a lot of you all that's really in that ocean. You're not in that ocean. You're not on your uncontested market space where you can sit there and say, if someone right now started asking you about, say, hey, I'm coming over, I've got a visa, I want to buy a business, but I also need to buy a house, and I kind of want my business in a strip center, but I really want to buy the entire strip center as well. What do? You say, broker, and chances are your broker says, call Alan or Brian, because I don't have a clue what you're talking about. They didn't put that in my 63-hour course in the state of Florida. So with that being the case, you'll call us, or you'll take our course and you'll find out how to do all of that and more. And ask your broker to attend the course as well.
There you go.
Okay.
Better call, reach out, or find us. We're here for you, and it's a lot of fun. So we got a lot to share and give, and we hope you reach out soon. Take care. Make action today. Today.
Go ahead.
See you
Bye
guys.
now.
Bye-bye.